Welcome to another Sunday night special episode, the Sports Card Lessons Podcast. I am your host, Big Ken. I am here again with my good friend Jonathan at Homer Sports Card. Jonathan, how are you doing, my friend?
Ken, how you doing? Nice to see you twice in a day.
Yeah, twice in a day, and you know what? We live so far apart. You know, it usually takes a lot of planning for us to run into each other, right? So you
Sort of met in the middle today.
Yeah, you came down to the new show, came down to support Rich Swiddlebug Cards, came down to the Hamden, the local show today. And I was excited to see you because that meant I was getting a couple of red Pandora PSA 10s that I knew once I saw you do the PSA reveal. I'm like, okay, check. I already checked them off the list of the cards I needed for the set as soon as I saw them. So I appreciate that easy deal on that.
Thank you for that. And I saw you picked up another one.
I did.
not quite Michael Penix or Bo Nix.
But... No. Somebody who's already retired. But you know what? It was $10, right? So you know, who else was going to grade that except for me? And it would have cost me $25 to grade that card if I wanted the set with PSA 10. So I'm happy to spend the $10. You know, it was a discount to say the least.
Yes, I'm with you. I like that set. I think that's going to hold value over time. It's aesthetically pleasing. I don't think there was a high pop count. And there was a very strong class last year. So there's a lot of guys that you would go after. I'm keeping the Penix and I'm keeping the Neighbors and maybe the Milton for a moment. So
yeah,
someone just bought my lad earlier tonight. Sale 973 on eBay. We're getting closer to 1,000.
Oh, nice. Congratulations. And now the lad was a 9, right? It was a PSA.
It was an 8. So that was the weakest of the PSA grades that I got. But
yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? It's always great when you get cards back that are lower than expected, but there's buyers out there ready to buy those cards.
You know, when you're those type of cards, you're basically selling for the grading fees, but you're recouping your money and then you're making money on the 10s. That's at least the formula that I use.
Yeah, you have to, right? I mean, sometimes, and you know, you hear people say all the time, you're looking at a card like that card I bought today. I expected immediately for the guy selling it to say, you know, it cost me whatever to grade the card. But, you know, I've gotten to a point where I would like to get at least the grading fee back on a card. But I know sometimes that's not going to happen. So I'm hoping that the 10s, right, the profit from the 10s will cover the you know, the grading fees of the ones that, you know, maybe you have to let go for 20 or 15 or $18 or something like that just didn't grade well, you know.
Yeah, well, if that calculus doesn't work, then the PSA model doesn't work for you. I mean, at least for me. So I mean, that's kind of where I am. It's 10s or bust, and now I guess 9s for very special cards. But yeah.
Well, the model for me is to send so many that they have to give me 10s, right? So it's like I talk to people who are like, oh, I sent 6 cards in and I didn't get any 10. Like on my last order, I didn't get any 10s at all. And I'm like, oh, how many? You know, like what was the percentage? And they're like, well, I only sent 6. And I'm like, the only way I'm sending 6 is if they're at the high level, right?
Right. Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
I'm minimum I'm sending 20 cards in because I want 10s. And it just seems like I'm always around that 50 to 60%, you know, that I'm gonna, it's either 50 or a little better. That it, you know, the only time, and I have to say this, the only time that I've sent orders in and they've all come back 10s is like the Bowman You Now stuff, you know, where you order 25 cards and I don't do anything with them. I you know, they put that stupid Scotch tape over it, right? I take it out, I put it in the card savers, I put it in a box and send them. But, you know, then you get like 20 or 21 10s and 4 9s, something like that. That's where the you know, the margins seem to be, you know, the percentages seem to be so much better. Right. But when I just have like 20 random different cards and I send them in, I usually get, you know, 10, 11, 12 10s, you know, I have some 9s and there's always got to be an 8 thrown in there too.
Yeah. Well, that's what I got. That's pretty much what I had 15 gems, about a 10 nines, and then 3 that were below.
Yeah. They got to do it to you. There's
Yeah.
like they're like so you know somebody's on the other side going, let's nail the McConkey for him. We'll give him an 8 there.
Ironically, 2 of the ones that I thought were pristine, and I mean perfect, got 9s, and others one particular I thought was a 7. It has 2 game used bats on it
Yeah,
that got a 10.
yeah,
That I imagined. I just wanted a slab. I thought I really was going to get a 7. That got a 10. And then 2 that I thought were perfect got 9. So, you know.
yeah. Happens all the time. But you know what too, and this I learned from Zips Cards, and a few other people have said this too, is we look at the cards. Like I look at the cards and I see something on there and I'm like, oh, like this is probably not going to gem, but a 9 is worth it, like that type of attitude. And then I send it, it comes back a 10. I'm like, oh, how did they grade this a 10? They're clearly the, but then if you go back and look at all the other 10s, they've included the fact that there was this mark on the card, right? Or something like that. So sometimes you really have to, if you're not sure of a card, is go and find some 10s and try. I mean, I know you really can't zoom in that much when you're looking at them online, but try to look for like a print line or something on there to say, okay, this has the same mark as mine, so maybe I can get it to gem.
Right. Yeah. Well, look, it's a tough job. So they're seeing a lot of different things. And I know that. And then I've sort of pulled back on some of the pulsars and some of those that maybe I personally can't see the lines, or I don't know how they're going to treat the lines. But yeah, it's always fun getting a package back.
Yeah, yeah, and I would find it funny too when I talk to people. I'm like, "Oh, do you clean your cards? Do you have like a big magnet?" They're like, "No, no, I pull it, I put it in the card saver, and I send it, and they
Yeah.
get 10s." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
I have never used Kurtz or any of the card cleaning places. Nice cloth, and it's not meant to be. It's not meant to be. But I am gonna crack a few at the National, just because I liked the card and I wanted to see what it got, and they were 6s and 7s, and they, not the best, but I'd rather have them raw than 6s and 7s.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and you know what? Some people get upset at that, but I don't want a card in a 6, or I mean I can't remember when I got a 6 or a 7, but sometimes even like some 8s I'll keep, some 8s I won't. I'll just, especially if I'm keeping them myself, I may not want them in there. I may want to keep them in there, but yeah.
yeah.
So
That's what-
speaking of cards and this Chicago skyline behind me, what is your plan? What are you bringing? As far as cards, what is your thought process bringing cards to the National, number one, and do you have separate cards for the show versus the trade nights?
Okay, so first off, congratulations on the Benchmark 300 show. So I did listen to it already. So I kind of think that's a leading question if you've listened to the podcast, which most people will. I'm not bringing cards to trade or sell on the floor, strictly for trade nights. Um, so I do have a set of cards that I've kind of set aside that I think I'm going to bring. Um, but purely for, there's going to be multiple trade nights of different types, and those will be the ones that I'm going as a buyer, as a collector. But I am bringing a set. Do you want to see some of them?
Absolutely.
All right. So this one,
I
All
saw this
Star.
today.
Yes. So
Yeah.
you saw a picture of it. This is it in
Yeah.
the flesh. So this guy has had 5 starts, and he's already been named an All-Star. He struck out 12 Dodgers last week. It's out of 50. I found it in a shoebox last week, and I've been hearing what he's been doing. So seems like the right time to sell.
All right. Who is it? Give his name.
Jacob Morowski. I can't even say his name, but people know it. It's the Brewers pitcher who's now been named to the All-Star game.
Okay.
It's kind of, in my opinion, a lottery ticket. People call him the next Skeens. I'll let the next guy who owns the card have that with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So I am bringing a lot of baseball, And I do think the local shows, and you might agree or disagree, a lot of football, a lot of modern football. So
This week.
going to what's that?
This week.
Any week, any local show. But I feel like when the national, you have so many dealers and so many collectors that maybe your best chance to trade or sell out of some of the better baseball would be in Chicago.
Mhm.
So I'm bringing some extra baseball. So this is Ken Griffey,
Oh,
nice
nice.
shadow box
Yeah. Okay.
auto. Bringing that big unit, Randy Johnson, 101.
Nice.
Thought that was cool. Gonna bring this 54 Willie Mays Bowman. See if there's any vintage collectors. So I'm going to a high end trade night. I think the first night that I'm there. So I'm gonna bring some of this stuff. Juan Soto, auto patch, and then I'll move over to some of the football. Got this Jameer Gibbs, which is at a 25.
Is that an in person or is that a pack
No,
card?
this is on card and the actual card.
Mhm.
Sorry about the glare. This is not Zip Studios. I'm sorry.
Well,
Puka?
you're lucky you don't have a green screen because everything becomes a black finite one of one.
Yes. No, unfortunately, we don't have that set up here yet. Maybe in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Puka, PSA 10. Jalen Waddle, rookie auto. Tyreek with the cheetah, which I don't think he does very often.
No, that looks in person.
That is an in person.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. He does not sign cheetah often, so I thought that was kind of a cool one to bring. And then this one came back from the PSA, which is a Derrick Henry 9, but from 2021 downtown.
Yeah.
So about a dozen cards or so that I think I'm going to bring.
Nice.
And I don't want to.
So you kind of touched on a little bit of the question, and I don't know if Ziggy's on right now listening, but he messaged me, listen to the episode today, and said, do you think bringing the liquid, ultra modern, easy stuff, is a better idea than bringing some more rare and scarce stuff? And my response to him, and this is kind of the response, this is the kind of the thought process I have. I really don't have any rare, scarce stuff to really bring to begin with. So that kind of takes me out of that lane. But if I did, I feel better about bringing liquid, easy stuff. When you get there, it's easy to find a comp. Like when you get to a trade night, sometimes someone pulls this card out, you're like, wow, it's a great card, and you're all standing there on your phones trying to find the last sale, and they're like, well, in 2022 this card, it's like, how do you come up with a price for that? I mean, of course, like at some point somebody's going to come up with a price and make a deal, but in the long run, I like when I'm at a trade night, I want to make it as easy as possible. When I'm looking at a card to get or I'm moving a card, I want to be able to say, yeah, here, look, there was 5 sales on this card, anywhere from 100 to 140. Like, what are you thinking? Like that type of thing. And to me, I think it makes the night easier and the negotiation easier.
Of course, we have 4 full days and nights. We're not rushing out of there after an hour of trade night. I just think the type of collector that's flying out there on their own dime, staying there, immersing in all the events and everything, they want to see something different that they haven't seen a week or two before at their local card show. So yes, there's some of that mixed in the downtowns and the pukas and modern football, but I'd like to have a little bit of a mix. Yeah, and there's 4 nights. I mean, multiple trade nights.
And do you think possibly too, and this was the other thought I had after I responded to this, and I said maybe this should be more on me, and because I'm a dealer and I'm setting up every single weekend and pricing cards, buy, sell, that I just get to a point where I'm like, look, I get there. I just want to relax. I want this to be fun. I don't want to, and that may be a part of it too, because one of the hardest things I find is people. I had somebody come up to the table today. A kid came up to the table. He got a card, and this was at Rich's show. He's really says he's really not in the hobby, but he got into these breaks and he paid because his friend was doing it. He jumped in. He paid $10 for this break, and he ended up with this Bryce Young. I can't remember exactly what it was, but the card, it was like a $750. That was the comp on the card. Like it was a BGS 10. It was a rookie. It was a Bryce Young, and there was only a pop one in the BGS, and it was in that card actually sold for $890 like a year and a half ago or something, right? So in his mind, that's the value of this card. Knows nothing about the hobby, but hey, I've got this card, and this is what I expect to get for the card. So he gives it to me, and I look it up. I go and I find the PSA 10 version of the same card. Two of them had sold recently. One in April at 700, and one for 740, I think, in June. And part of like me trying to educate him, like it took me all this time to get this price. And then I think to myself, do I really want to pay strong on a card of a guy that may or may not even do well a few months from now? And people may or may not be big on him. They may say, look, I want to see you. I know you finished the year strong, but I want to see you play, again in September before. So am I stuck with this card all the way through, hoping that he plays well? So I said, look, let me just educate you on this card. And, I gave him the price. And, I mean, for $10, even a card that's like a $700 value, I think he did pretty well on it. Right. But at the end of that, when, because he kept saying, well, what would you offer on the card? I said, I don't want the card, because I'm going to be going, I'm going to have these 10-minute conversations with other people to say, hey, well, the 10 sold here. I said, if it makes sense to me, I got to get into this card around $450, $500, right? I need a whole lot of room, because the next guy coming in after me is going to be like, well, we don't know if Bryce is going to do this and that. And if I want to move that card quickly, I can't be any closer to that comp. So when I think about going to a trade night and try to negotiate a rare and scarce card, I'm like, I would rather just, give me, a Jade and Daniels silver prism all day and just let me move that.
Yes, from a setup standpoint, but you can always just move on to the next table, or whatever that might be. But agreed, if you're going out there to make some coin and have it make it nice and easy and come back with less, football modern liquid is the way to go.
Yeah.
But I'm not bringing that much stuff anyway. I
No.
don't want to wait.
And I'm not looking to sell this to get like for profiting on the cards, the dozen or 2 dozen cards I'm bringing with me. I'm just looking to turn those cards into something I can come home and say, wow, look, this is my PC card. Because like you, even though I do a lot of this stuff and my mind is really stuck on the dealer side of it, I'm really committed to going to this show as a collector, right? To go out there and try to find cards for my own PC, because I'm already prepared for all the shows I have the rest of the summer into the fall. I'm already prepared for those shows. If something good comes that I say, hey, this really could be a triple or a home run, like I may jump on it. But besides that, I really want to go out there as a collector and try to enjoy that aspect of the show.
Yeah. And I'm going to be setting up in September for a show, so I can get rid of those football cards. It's going to be the first week of the football season.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot easier. But the brewer, who's in the All-Star game after 5 starts and the phenom of baseball, I think now is the time to strike. But that's a rare exception.
Yeah.
But you'll also be in the West Coast Burbank show. You'll be able to take advantage of that too.
Yep. Yeah. And I'll be set up there as a dealer. I don't know, it'll be my first experience. I know they're in a brand new at the convention center out there. It's the first time in this place, and or expanded anyway. So I think it's going to be kind of the first time for a lot of people. So I'm happy to be kind of experiencing this, like a lot of other people are for a first time, versus coming in as an outsider and having to ask everybody else, get information. So
I've been out. I was at the old shop, but I think that's sort of a bucket list trip for collectors, at least on the East Coast, where you go see the new shop, you go to see the Burbank show. I think
Mhm.
that's it's definitely probably a different vibe than what we're used to on the East Coast. So
Yeah.
I hope to do that in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I hope to take the time to be able to go over and see that shop because who knows the next time. Like, I mean, I don't know if this show really works that well. I may plan on heading back out there again next year. So I hope it does. Right. There's nothing better than looking forward to a big show. Look how much we look forward to the national, right? And I think this would be similar, looking forward, to travel to a show like that.
Yeah, but I'm interested in hearing how it is for you because you hear how much about your shows on the East Coast. The Nationals one thing, but whether there is a different dynamic to the
Mm.
shows,
Yep.
East or West Coast, it'll be interesting to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. So we talked today, and this kind of, we were just talking about the Burbank card shop. So they've just opened up a brand new location, out there. But you were telling me that Piece of the Game just opened up a new shop, close to, within 10-15 minutes of where you live. And it kind of sparked a conversation about, like places like in New York, Piece of the Game is there. David Adams just opened up there. They have Bleecker there, and then there's just East Coast. There's just a ton of Santiago Sports and things like that, which is similar to West Coast, I'm sure, and a lot of other markets. And what does this do to the smaller local shops, right? Does this push them out? Do these stores opening up, these bigger stores, are they going to push out these smaller shops, or does that wake them up to say, look, we need to go into survival mode and change things up so we can survive, and you know we can survive with these other shops and not get put out of business.
Yeah, it ought to do both of those things. So I went to the Piece of the Game. It's not their headquarters. I think the number one shop for them is the Wappinger Falls. But I walked in and immediately you knew it was a modern card shop. The walls were lined with wax in modern cases, very cool, visually appealing, and you could just see year by year, sport by sport. It was great. In the middle, cases for singles of all different types, different sports, but different ways to look at it. They have drawers. They had face where you can walk up and kind of see them at face level. There was a breaking room in the back, which I'll never use, but good for them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Um, but you could tell the difference between a modern shop that can accommodate multiple hobbyists of different types, and I think that they should do well. Certainly a strong enough market in Westchester County. There's money. Um, the shop that is local, I have never particularly liked, which is maybe not a popular opinion. It's very good for young collectors, and I think it's very good for vintage older collectors that maybe have that are not looking for high end cards. But that modern, I want to see singles or really unique wax, not there. And this shop, I think, has a shot. I've been to the David Adams. Great, different kind of levels of purchasing. They have low end, middle end, really high end singles and wax. So um, certainly what I want when I walk into a shop.
Mhm. Do you think, and just from your observations, and this is something that I've seen going into any LCS, is the wax business is really in demand. Like, the people are ripping, people are buying. There's other people watching these people ripping the boxes, right? That seems to be like the a bigger piece of the business than the cards themselves. Is this something that you've seen at these stores, or?
Yeah, there's an entertainment element to it. Definitely at Dave and Adams. Not yet at Piece of the Game, but I but they have everything for what the hobbyist would want to buy. The participation in the entertainment, I think you see that probably more at Bleecker or Dave and Adams, but or maybe even Roadshow, which is another one that's expanding, or Nash Cards. So there's a number of these that I think, and it makes sense. I can't imagine Jeff Wilson's going to stay at one shop in Atlanta. So
Mm.
good. Make
Yeah.
make make this a more mature experience for those of us that are looking for that.
Yeah. So another observation, right? I go into local shops here in Connecticut, and you look at their wax, and most of it's retail. It's stuff that came off the shelves at Target and Walmart, or Ace Hardware now. That it's even coming up on Ace Hardware. Um, but then I went to Culture Collision. I got the Jeff Wilson gave me the tour, of Cards HQ, and I mean they have a warehouse which is just pallets of boxes from Panini back there, right?
Retail or hobby?
Well, no, just everything
Everything.
yeah, they're breaking, they're putting it out there. I mean, even the wax in the cases. I mean, people were just lined up, we were all just buying, boxes right out of right out of the case. Um, but the prices were good on the stuff, because they've got the allocation, or he's got the allocation that's coming in there. But you go into these other LCSs, and that these boxes, were on the Target, selling for $29 or $34 or something like that. But then you go in and they're $65 and $75. It's like, gosh, do you almost hope, right? You almost hope that an LCS is going to come in that has allocation, that can supply these boxes for a better price than getting it the Target and the Walmart boxes getting beat up and then being sold to you at a 30 or 40% increase.
I can't see those stores having a long runway. It's got to catch up to them. I was actually in a Target this weekend, not my normal Target, and I was not for cards or anything, just for normal Target stuff. And the lady told me that the manager said that 8 o'clock they line up. It's a crazy line. I said, still? Like, I remember, I mean, years ago, but maybe those are card shops that aren't getting the allocation direct, and they got to figure it out somehow. But I said, yeah, I'm not going to be on that line. I won't.
You're going to be standing there with the little kids, like, get up.
I don't think that's the issue. I don't think there are any kids on that line. I'll guarantee not.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you should say that, because I stop at Target. I haven't been in a while, but I'll stop at the Targets and I'll look to see if there's anything there. And when they're restocking these shelves, it's like 11 o'clock on a Wednesday morning, right? These kids are in school. There's no kids that are there at 11 o'clock. I mean, in the summer, maybe, but during the week,
Right.
during a school year, there's no kids at 11 a.m. lined up at Target. You're right. It's a bunch of guys like me showing up and trying to buy wax off the shelves. So yeah, I mean, you would really think something at some point, should change, or it's got to change. And and I'm not saying for people like us, right? I'm saying for Rich's show, a lot of families came in today, and you're talking to mothers and fathers that have young kids, and it's like, where do we buy the boxes of stuff that are reasonable? Because the score boxes, the dad said, wow, the score boxes were on the shelf, and my son wants cards, so I buy him for him, and he opens them up, and it looks like nice cards, and we come to the shop, and people are like, nah, I'm not interested. Oh, that's $1 card or $2. It's like, well, wait a minute, we spent $30 on this box, and I'm like,
Well, that's the education, right?
yeah, it's the hobby. This is what happens, Yeah.
You're either there to flip the cards, look at the pictures, and look at the stats,
Yeah.
or you're there because why are you bringing it to the card shop? Then you got to go and spend a little bit more.
Yeah.
But if you're there for the cards, then a $25, $30 blaster, should do it.
Yeah, yeah. But there's no value long
No,
term.
no, I know, and I don't think anyone is. No
Yeah,
one's saying that either.
yeah,
But
yeah.
for a 5, 6 year old, you need to be flipping. It's about introduction into the hobby.
Yeah. And on the other hand, I got guys coming in with the kids saying, "Hey, I just dug these out of one of my mother's house and picked these up." Right? It was like the 94 sets and the 92 sets of baseball that they cherished, right?
Mm.
And they, what do I got here? Am I putting a deck on my house? Are we all going to Disney World? I got bad news for you.
And all of it.
You could start the fire on Saturday night,
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Uh, let's see who we have here. Michael, Sports Card the Hobby. Good evening, Ziggy. No, cheers, Ziggy. If you jumped on late, you didn't hear me. I talked about a little bit of that conversation that I responded to your question from today, my earlier episode today, about bringing liquid cards versus rare and scarce cards. Definitely go back and give that a listen. Scott, great content, gentlemen. Congrats on 300. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate you. Ziggy says, seems like every LCS is growing. It seems like every LCS growing. Are smaller shops not growing? And we're just talking about that, right? I don't think that they can get the allocation. I don't think they can get as much in there to grow as fast as some of these bigger companies that we're just talking about right now are going to be able to get, allocation on wax and things like that. I think they may be, pushing, these smaller shops out that can't keep up, that can't catch up, that can't get allocation. And I think as much as we, a lot of us want to say, like, look, I want to be loyal to you because you've been here and I like coming to your store. That's not enough to keep the lights on sometimes and keep them in business. Scott, what do you say here? If they don't have allocation from Panini, Topps, etc., it's an uphill climb to make it, in my opinion. Make sure you have local teams for NFL, MLBA, NHL jerseys, helmets, trade nights, live sales, breaks, etc. Yeah, definitely. Trade nights are huge. Like, trade nights really bring people down. And we see that at all the local stores. It brings, season collectors like us and families and parents and kids. They're one of the nicest parts of the hobby, I think.
If you don't have the allocations, you need to be deep in singles. Like Bill, I mean, you have a fantastic amount of singles for sale at his shop.
Yeah.
So you gotta go deep in that direction, I think, if you don't have the direct allocation.
Yeah. My guy Cardboard Collaborative, saw him today. You can have a small shop that's a nice shop. There's a difference between a small shop keeps up with the times and a small shop that's left behind. 100% on that. Big John, Collector's Cards. Good evening. How are you, sir? Thanks for joining in our live. We were just to catch up. I saw my man Jonathan today he came down to the local a new card, a new one. I'm getting confused.
Card show. It's a long day.
I want to say new and local at the same time. A new local card shop, but it's not local for you. You had to make the trip down, and
No.
you stopped at the Orange show on the way back. Did you?
Yeah.
And how was that?
It was a nice little show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I've been to rooms that I'm sorry I stepped into. That was not one of them. It was good. I had some good conversations. I picked up a nice baseball piece. This Mike Schmidt,
Nice.
which I thought was good.
Yeah.
Saw another heavy WNBA dealer, so I figured whoever. I didn't speak to them, but I figured who that was.
I'm sure his name is Ken, just like mine is. My man Ken. The other Ken that does WNBA. Did you pick something up from him?
No, just the Schmidt, which was good enough, and stopped and spoke to Billy for a little bit, and then headed home. Yeah.
Yeah. Not a bad drive for you, right?
No, it was good. It was an
Yeah.
hour. Got two shows.
Yeah.
Spent a few hours. It was good morning.
Yeah. There was a third show somewhere else in Connecticut too. So yeah, it was a busy day for shows in Connecticut. Um,
Little warm up for Chicago.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's it too. It's like almost, it used to be, and I say used to be over the last few years, there was like a couple big shows. Like Dallas was always like that big show before the nat. Now there's like bang, bang, bang shows popping up everywhere. But it's bringing the people in, right? It's not like you've got 10 shows opening up and now all of a sudden you've just lost 90% of your foot traffic, right? It seems like no matter how many shows are popping up, like the people are still coming and they're still walking through. The sales may be down, but the foot traffic seems to be, keeping up with the amount of shows.
When I arrived to the Hamden show today, the parking lot was full, and I parked on some side street. This was Rich's first time. Yeah, there's an appetite for it everywhere. It's great. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. So all these cards, right? All these cards at all these shows and these reveals from PSA. You had mentioned me today. I let my PSA membership lapse, right? Do I renew it? Do I leave it lapse? And if I do, who am I grading with? I mean, just your thought process on that.
I think I was flipping too many medium priced cards, low end price cards in the bulk submissions. And I just made a decision for now. I'm either going to buy something like this that doesn't need to be graded, or I'm going to buy a graded card. Um, I don't know what I would do with that baseball player's card if I wanted to grade it, this guy, because I don't have a membership. I guess I could pay the full freight. I could pay $140 at the National and have it returned by Saturday if I wanted to.
Mhm.
But I think in the end, it's probably a raw sale anyway, because I want it in the next couple weeks. So I think I'm just shifting my hobbiness from the flipping, which I did love. I loved finding a card at a show, keeping it in bulk, sending it in, checking the status, having it back, revealing it, and then flipping it for profit. For me, some of that has lost some of its fun. So I'm kind of moving into a direction of buying graded cards or cards that don't need to be graded.
So losing some of its fun. I just want to, and you know where I'm going to go with this. If they were all coming back tens, you would have renewed that membership
Yeah, no, that's fun.
before it expired,
That's
before it
fun.
lapsed, right? but now, and there's so many people that have new people in the hobby, right? That you 2 years ago, right? 3 years ago, you're going around, you're digging through a shoebox, right? And you find a card, you pull it out. The chances, looking at that, and it looks great, the chances that is been a raw card its whole life and it's never made it to grading, and you would be the first one to grade it back then, were really pretty high. That percentage was really pretty high.
Yes.
Nowadays, when you go into a shoebox and you look at a card, and I know I do this, and I know I do this when they come to the table. I look at a card and I'm like, well, I know this card's been graded before. There's no way nobody didn't grade this Trevor Lawrence silver prism. It just didn't happen. So now I have to buy this card as a 7. It would be a PSA 7, right? Because in my mind, I know this thing's already been graded. Where someone like you, who were trusting in going and pulling these, that your percentages were getting worse and worse and worse, to a point you're like, is it really worth it for me to take this chance, or should I just buy the graded card? Am I getting close?
You're pretty damn hot. So I was talking to Rich today, right? There was a guy 2 dealers away that had a card that I definitely wanted. It was a Michael Jordan Shooting Stars refractor. I wanted the card. I said, Rich, what is the chance that at this point in life, this card hasn't been graded at some point? I don't want to buy that. I want the card, but something's off. What am I missing here? And maybe that 1 or 2 times out of 10, I'm wrong. And that came out of that guy's shoebox. It didn't. He bought it from someone else for, what I was expecting to pay for that card raw. So the card's already seen some grading factory, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So yes, you're right. That's it.
Yep. Yep. So now when I'm looking at cards that I want to, that probably didn't have time to make it to PSA or to any other grading site, right? These are the cards I'm thinking, okay, it's possibility this card just came out 2 months ago. It may not, it may have just been pulled a week ago. That could be a true story versus a card that, a Patrick Mahomes rookie card that comes to my table raw. I'm like, there is no way nobody graded this card. I don't care what it is. There's no way nobody didn't grade this card, right?
Right. And then take a look at a Michael Jordan 1994 refractor. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Even though you want it, you just have to have some control.
Yeah. Definitely have some control. Definitely have to buy it right. You definitely have to have that conversation with the dealer up front and saying, and I do this with the people who own the card that come to my table. I said, I really know that this card's probably been graded before, so I can't buy it like a raw comp. I can't buy it like a 9, because if it was a 9, most people would have left it. Nobody's going to crack out a 9 on the number of cards. So now we're talking, this card was probably a disaster. It was probably a 7 or an 8. And it's numbered. So PSA already knows, right, that this card, they've already graded this card. So does it even make sense for me to have much of a conversation? Because if I buy that card, I have to sell that card raw, and I have to convince somebody else that I don't really know, what the history of it. Like, I didn't grade it. Somebody else could have, but I'm just bought the card and I'm moving it along. Like I'm the middleman here. And that's really, I feel like a lot of the WNBA, and I do a lot of WNBA, and I'm really, really trying with Caitlin. Like, I'm really trying, to gem some cards with her. But when it's coming to a number of other players who I'm hot on right now, I'm really just like, if I can find a 10, I'm just paying up for a 10. Like, I don't want to buy 5 of these cards and send them off and hope one gems, because by the time I'm done doing that, you know what? Let me just go buy a 10, and then I have it. I'd rather at this point on some of these cards that the quality control is so bad on them. I would just as soon let somebody else do all the legwork and let me reap the rewards.
Yeah, Prism is terrible. Yeah, why not? If you have the instinct, follow the instinct.
Yeah.
Go in for it,
Especially those red Pandoras.
Well, there's more where that came from.
You got a 9? Yeah, you can keep that. I'll buy your 10s though.
Yes, we have more of those, but yeah, it's collect what you love, and if you like that set and you want to hold on for a couple of years, I think that's right.
Yeah.
There was always a question of whether they were going to come back with the regular set, and I'm very happy that they held back and they didn't release them again.
Yeah.
They were in that special, whatever it was, Thanksgiving. I don't even remember what it was. Some special set, Christmas set, whatever it was.
Yep. It keeps them. I know people know, even if they come up with like a newer version of that older card, right? That then you have to figure out what is what sometimes, and there's something different on the card. It gives you something more to look for. But sometimes when they don't and they just leave it alone, it really leaves the original more of a chase.
Yeah.
Right. When they don't, try to remake some of these cards, as long as they leave it alone, I just think sometimes it just makes it even more special. Like, even to keep it like that. Joe S says, for someone who can't make it to the national, are either of you aware of a service whereby someone will search the card show for a particular card on your behalf to pay a finder's fee?
Wow,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Like a broker,
yeah, like someone in the
a card broker.
yeah. I see that all the time. I see people showing up with the phone and they're like, oh, they dial something. They got it here. And they're showing them the card. And it's like, what? And he's like, will you take what? No, no, no. He says, I'm going to take, no, he says that. I'm like, no, no, he's firm. Do you want it or not? All right, we'll take it. It's,
I do think that in the future, that is next level, and I have thought about this. I don't own the technology, but it would be great to have a truly interactive card show where everything was out there and you can buy it and the dealer takes it back and he's got to ship it to whoever's buying it home, and it's sort of in person versus people digitally or online.
yeah.
I don't think we're there yet.
um, one thing which happens a lot right before big shows too, is a lot of people on Instagram uh, will start putting up, oh, this is going to be available, like, at the national, and I'm going to
Yeah,
be
I hate that. I want the chance to buy it. I see that from DC Sports from Kevin. I said, stop showing the Brady's. Stop.
um, yeah, and I mean, sometimes that's good. Like I tried doing that probably before the Atlantic City National, saying, "Oh, I got all these great cards, and I'm taking it." And then next thing you know, like the week before, I'm just getting hammered with people wanting to buy the cards, and then I'm like, "Well, I might as well just sell them, right?" And then I got to a point where I'm like, "Stop, stop, no, 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 I don't have time for this, right? Come see me there, and if it's left over afterwards, I'll let you know. We can make a deal, but yeah, it's I guess for something like that, you would really have to have somebody, working for you.
I think in the future, there's going to be someone that's going to have the technology to have it both ways, in person and online. And
Yeah.
that whatever that technology is, it's going to be brilliant because not everybody's going to the national.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of, especially specialty cards too. Like a lot of these bigger shows, you'll think somewhere in there would just be nice if everybody could. I'm not going to say register their cards, but I mean,
No, to know your inventory, I think about it all the time.
yeah,
Yeah, no, it's a real thing. It's one step further from the connectivity that eBay and everywhere else has given us.
yeah, yeah. I know. I just got to pull this up here. So I know everybody, and this was also you two talking about this hot market. Is it just the big shows? Is it auctions? Is it eBay? Like, is everything on the rise right now? So I talked about it on last week's episode that eBay talked about, having their biggest sales month in June. Right. And I said a lot of that has to do getting ready for the national. Like a lot of people that I felt, buying, selling, and things like that. But it seems to be a carryover now, and it seems to be like kind of this, you know, somewhat of a hype. Uh, what do you think about this? Like, what do you think this is all getting ready for these summer shows, these big shows, this the national, the West Coast card show, or do you think it is the new hobby? I mean, is this like these sales that are happening? Is it that there's just so many more new people in here in the hobby, and just people are just buying everywhere? They're buying online, they're buying at the auctions, they're buying at the card shows, because it just seems to be just a ton of sales everywhere. We just talked a few minutes ago about all these card shows and all this foot traffic, all these people showing up. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's seasonal, partially. I remember maybe even telling you in January, where are the eBay sales? I mean, things. right after Christmas through January, there's a lull. So I do think there's a component of it that's timing and seasonal. I do think there's a crest of the market that is taking off, and people want to get with that. So you hear that, you read that, you see the post. So the top end of the market is very frothy. And I think there are people that are carrying with that. But I do think for your anything less than special cards, it's more seasonal. But there is a wave at the top that's certainly fun to watch. I mean, that's the Uber collectors. It's not a world that I play in,
Yeah.
but it's got to be all tides rise, kind of thing. But yeah, I
And
think it's more
where do you
seasonal.
think that peak is? Like, as far as we're looking at the months of the year, where would you identify that where that peak and valley is? I know the valley we talked about, and I always say this too, the hobby, I call it the hobby dead zone, right after the Super Bowl, right? And up until like baseball season, up to April, May, it just seems to be like kind of a dead zone in there. Um, and 2 points I'm going to make. One, I want to ask you where you think the peak is, and two, do you think that they manipulate the hobby with the release of all the wax to keep it going, to keep the sales going, to keep people, like, especially during the dead zone, let's drop football products then, because
It would be
you know
smart to do that from a
yeah
business standpoint. It would be smart to. I don't know. I think that the dates have spread out so much that have they been consistent enough over the last few years to really say that's been the strategy? That would be a smart move. But in terms of the peak, it's 2 months. It's I think, from July 1st to September 1st, more or less. I think that show that we're doing the first week of the season for the NFL, I think that's going to be hopefully red hot, and then it sort of trails off after that. Yeah, that would be my.
when the players actually start playing and you're like,
Yeah,
ah, this
we don't
guy
want.
stinks.
You want to push the guys you think are not going to have the stellar seasons, but no, uh, there's the lane in front of you. That's fantasy football draft season. I know you're into that, and so am
Yep.
I. So I think that's the upper. There's one notch above because there's probably a little bit of a FOMO from the National and maybe Burbank,
Mm.
and the East Coast National will be around that time, which hopefully will be decent this year. Um, and then yeah, then you got to watch the results. Hopefully,
Yeah. Yeah, I think when basketball comes to, I think that's kind of, it changes up a little bit too. When the basketball season starts, I think that starts to take precedence over the football. Like, all of a sudden you start to see like a lot of people showing up at your table, just like in the spring, everyone shows up with baseball, right? And late fall, early winter, that November, December, everybody starts showing up at the basketball cards, try to capitalize on that. And then, I think as we get to the playoffs, a little playoff run, if somebody's playing super well, right, and then their stock will go up, and we're hoping we're holding those cards. But then, a week or two after the Super Bowl, everything just kind of dips, and we wait again. Like, we sit back and we wait. And I say every year I talk about this. You go back, this is my 300th, right? The end of season 6 was today. We're going to start season 7. But I'll tell you, if you go back all 3 years, you'll tell me I talk about, like, now I'm buying. Now I'm
yeah,
buying the football. This January, February, March, April. That's the best time to buy football. June, July, not a good
too
time.
late. You
Yep.
got to get in front of two things: one, the draft, and two, free agency. Right?
Yep.
Because once free agents start happening or the quarterbacks get drafted, people start getting opinions of their seasons in advance, and you're buying on the hype. I think
Yep.
you said this last week, you or Zip or someone, you're buying on the hype.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you got to get in front of that.
And then Bowman has the college stuff, right? You've got the college basketball stuff, you got the college football stuff, and that creates that somewhat of a small market. It's not a great market, but it's a small enough market that just keeps. I think I do. I honestly believe that these card companies are just manipulating us, just be like, oh, we're not buying that. Okay, well, now we need something just to fill in that void. Let's drop some college football in there. We'll drop some college basketball. And then last year they dropped the college basketball. They really hurt themselves. I mean, the Bowman U basketball, comes out at the end of February. Like there was no market that you could let it ramp up on all these cards. It was like as soon as you got the card, boom, it had you. If you were going to sell it, you had to sell it immediately because March Madness was right there, 2 to 3 weeks. You didn't have time to grade anything. If you did, it had to be rushed. So hopefully next year they'll do a little bit of a better job, getting that product out, maybe in November, December, and give us time to ramp up to March.
They might structure it differently once the monopoly is fully formed.
Yeah, if they're listening to me, if they're listening to this, though. So Ziggy says, I think football market is maturing. The window is smaller each year to profit. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And when is it that the vintage football or those players, those 70s plays, late 60s, 70s, when is it that market is going to pop up? Someone's going to be like, we need to start this market, we need to start buying these cards, and this market is going to take off.
I was this close to buying a Montana rookie in Orange, Connecticut today, but I decided for Mike Schmidt. But yeah, you look at that. Here was a great point, right? So Joe Montana was a PSA 8 rookie, 375. Probably could have got him down to 340.
Yeah.
That you could get a Joe Montana PSA 8 for the same prices as Derrick Henry downtown.
These kids don't even know who Joe Montana is. I mean,
if they know Tom Brady, they should know Joe Montana. They might not know Tom Brady anymore.
Well, no, I mean, Brady was 2000.
No kidding. The younger kids, I'm saying, they moved on to Daniels and Nix and McCarthy.
Yeah. Let's see. Ziggy says, has the luster worn off 2020 rookie quarterbacks? It's not. There's not enough collector base in football, in my opinion. Most
give me Burrow. Give me them.
Yearly fans are chasing money, and 100%. I think everybody's chasing money when it comes to that. I mean, the market on the Burrow and the Herbert cards alone, I mean, we're insane, and people are still sitting on those cards, some of those National Treasure RPAs, and you'll see them in these cases that at 2021 prices, thinking to yourself, these cards are never going anywhere.
Yeah. Well, there's a faction that thinks that Lamar Jackson's the best quarterback in the league. There's a faction that thinks that Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the league. And there's a faction that think that Joe Burrow's the best quarterback in the league. And if they hold out till one of those gets their Super Bowl,
yeah,
boom.
Yeah. Goes through the Chiefs, goes through Kansas City.
Well, I didn't say the most successful. Mahomes is, by far the most accomplished, but maybe better. I don't know. That's anyone's debate, but I think that's probably the reason for the holdout of the high pricing, because they get one Super Bowl and then they're in the conversation. They're Hall of Fame, clearly.
Everybody's pulling those cards out again.
There you go.
Yeah. All right, I got one more topic, and I'm just going to throw it out to the chat. If you guys have any questions, throw them in now, and we'll hit them before we finish up. But my last plan for the National behind us. Do you make plans for each day? Do you plan out your days? So when you're getting ready to go out there to the National, do you have an agenda? You say, like, have you already put it into, like, I'm going to be there Wednesday? I mean, I know we have plans one day out there, but my days are getting shorter and shorter as I keep talking to people as we get closer. Like all this, like, I got all these days out there, and then I'm like, oh my God, like I'm running out of time out there. I need another 4 days I need 8 days of the National to get done everything. But do you kind of put a plan together, make an agenda for what you're going to do each day?
Loosely.
Yeah.
It's 4 days, but it goes by quick. The first day, 4 o'clock, so it's a late start. So for me, I think 3 hours of cards. The nights kind of get where I think there's some flexibility. I don't know. We have dinner. There's some trade nights. I kind of like to leave the nights open and figure out where it's happening and go in that direction. But during the day, I'm pretty head down.
You're absolutely right. I feel the same way. I think the nights are the ones that you just say, I'm going to go to it. I'm doing trade night, right? You just throw that out there because that means anything. It could mean the 6:30 to 9 or whatever they are at the National, or it could mean the pop-up ones in any hotel, right? Because there's no organized one outside. I think SoCo Expo is the only organized trade, or not trade night, but I guess you could call it a trade night. It starts after the National locally. But there's nothing else organized that I know of. And if there is something organized I need to know about, let me know, at sportscard_lessons. You just let me know. And so I'll be in the know. But we say trade night, that could mean anything. And it could mean 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, or 1 a.m., right? You have no idea where that day is going to end up taking you. But during the day, I mean, getting to the National early, right? To me, Wednesday, Thursday are the days to do it. Friday it starts to get busy, and Saturday's insanity, right? Saturday, I'm going to meet up with people as much as I can and not try to be at every table.
I think that's the day as well. I'll be there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for the card hunting. Saturday I'm leaving. It's a little more crowded, so the tables are a couple rows back. All of a sudden, you're fighting people that you weren't fighting Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good meetup day for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's 25,000 steps a day. You better be ready.
Yeah, I know. You need to be in shape. I just ordered another pair of sneakers because I needed some to match the new shirts I just ordered.
Nice.
I tell you what,
A walking billboard.
Ziggy, I'm going to answer your question. Read this in a minute, but I was at the show at Causeway on Saturday, and there was a kid there that had a black and white checkerboard backpack that matched the shorts, right? He had a black T-shirt with it, and he was there with his mother. And I was like, I like this. I like how this looks. And his mother smacks him because she said, "See, I told you." She said, "Yeah, I mean, she made this for him." I'll tell you what, I bet you she set up a table at the end. I said, if you set up a table down there with selling this stuff, I bet you people would be buying it.
Marketing genius.
Yeah. Ziggy says, he's winging it. I normally do a single day. I don't know how you do a single day at the National. But this year I have meetings Wednesday and Thursday night. So Thursday is my day at the show. So, I mean, your 25,000 steps probably just turned into 50,000 steps. And he said, I haven't decided if I'm driving or flying. Wow. So you must be close to Chicago.
Yeah. Unless you're bringing a ton of stuff.
Yeah. Cardboard Collaborative. I set a plan and it's blown out by Thursday. Yeah. That
sounds about right.
That brings me to that. Could be 11 or it could be 1 a.m. Like nobody has any idea.
Well, I think that's part of it is the unofficial trade nights or get-togethers, parties, whatever. There's no place to kind of you got to just speak to people and kind of figure that out and add to your calendar.
Yeah. And remember, everybody just gets to go back to their room and lay down. Me, I have to go back and put up a podcast, create some content, right? So whatever time I go back, I get the charcuterie board ready, chop everything up, right? And put everything together and get going to put out like a 10 or 15 minute recap of the day. So yeah, those days get long.
Late nights.
Yeah. Oh, he says he's near DC.
Let's drive.
Yeah. Hey, man, I appreciate you being on. I'm not going to put you on the spot, but we'll talk during the week. And if you want to do this again next week and the week after, leading up to the National, we could do every Sunday night leading up to it. Great time. It's great conversation. I think other people like it too. After last week, I had a lot of people message me, say that was great. I hope you do it again. So I'm thankful you're here. I appreciate you being here. We'll talk this week. If you want to do it again, I'm in.
Yeah, sounds good. I think they're tuning in for you, but that's I appreciate you having me on. And yeah, a couple more weeks, 17 days. Let's go.
Let's go. 17. Can you believe it?
Awesome. Can't wait.
All right. Hey, everybody, thank you for tuning in to this Sunday Night Live. I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys coming on. And look, we hope to do this again next Sunday, but you're going to get all my regular content in between. Tuesday night, Hobby Chop. We're doing a live 9 p.m. and I will be back next Sunday with a solo episode as well. If you like what you hear, please like, definitely subscribe, and most importantly, tell a friend and spread the word. But definitely subscribe. We need subscribers. Tell your friends, get them to tune in. All right, my friend. I will see you hopefully next Sunday.
Take care.
Thank you.